click the link. It says setting up your thing, redirecting to YouTube. I think we're live. Correct me if I'm wrong. Perfect. Let's do it. Spencer, can you verify that we are connected? Well, I see people already commenting.
It says live on YouTube.
Perfect. All right. Hi, Miguel. Okay, guys, let's get started. Welcome to the Winding Tree AMA. Welcome back. We haven't had an AMA for what, 2 months? Yes, the last one was 2 months ago. And a lot of things had happened during those 2 months. So I would love to share all of those things with you today. We have a special guest, of course, in line with us. And you know who he is, Eric Leopold, and I'm gonna say a few more words about him just a little later. And we're just making sure that everything works. Let me see. Perfect. I think we're like 100% online now. So let's get started. As you know, my name is Max. This is a Winding Tree Ask Me Anything monthly call, which we haven't had for 2 months, as I mentioned, but we'll fix it next time. And today I will be answering all the questions that I have on my phone over here that you asked us, and share all the news and updates. Well, maybe not like all of them because it's quite a mouthful. But today I'm super excited to have Eric Leopold on the call with us. As you know, we have just appointed Eric as our strategic advisor. So Eric served as one of the executives at IATA. IATA is International Airline Transport Association. It's a international governing body for airlines. He's done quite a few projects there. A few of them were related to cryptocurrencies, blockchains. So he knows quite a bit, not just about the airline industry, but also about technology, blockchains in particular. And well, I personally think that was a match made in heaven. And, you know, we've been connected for a while, but I finally am happy to say that now we're gonna get to work together. Eric, how are you doing?
Yes, hi Max, thanks for the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, you worked at IATA for a while and you know quite a bit about the travel industry. What can you say about the state of the travel industry today? Where are we at? I mean, you can talk, of course, about the COVID-related things, but we all know how it affected the travel industry. Now we're finally maybe recovering. Tell us what you think. But besides that, what has changed in the past, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 5 years? And where do you see the travel going in the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, for sure. First thing is that we've just been through the worst crisis since the creation of the industry. The industry was created in 1944 with the Chicago Convention and creation of this convention that created all the rules for international travel. So it was like 5% growth year on year for the past 75 years. And suddenly COVID happened, and that grounded the whole industry. So I would say that's the first thing. And when I say we are recovering, I would say we are just starting to recover. There are some areas where you see domestic traffic and leisure travel resuming, but mostly for international travel and business travel, we are not back. And there's a few things that need to be put in place before we see the industry resuming. So that's what I would call the immediate status of the industry. What goes with that is at the airline level. First thing is that financially they were hit very badly. They had to get funding out of government or etc. And now they have high level of debts. They already had before, but they just increased by 50% during the COVID, the debts, which means that it's going to be a challenge in terms of investment, in terms of things in the near future. But also airlines had to let their staff go. If you ground your aircraft for 1 year, you cannot, of course, keep your people. So you have to let people go, which means that you lose the expertise. And again, it's very difficult. So the status of the airline industry, I would say, is as bad as it can be as an industry. When I say that, it also means that it can only go up, right? And it can only go up. And there's, I call it now the time to rebuild. Right? It's time to rebuild the industry, and I see that as opportunity to change a few things in the industry. Right? So it's a unique opportunity to do things differently. It's always more difficult to change when things are going smoothly, but now you need to rebuild anyway. So why not change a few things? A couple of things in mind is change it to be more resilient, meaning that when you're hit by a shock, how long does it take to recover? And there's a lot of legacy processes, etc. So this industry is not agile at all. So how can we be more resilient? Because there will be other shocks. And the other one is to be more sustainable. And I think the other point is environment. Environment was an issue before. Now that aircraft are flying, people realize there's a life without flying. So really, when you fly, you need to make sure there's a purpose for that. And people will expect other people to have a good reason to fly, or to have aircraft that are more environment friendly. So that I would say key trends. Of course, we can go into much more details, but that's, I would say, the 30,000 feet view of the air travel industry.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. A lot of companies that we talked to before the pandemic, many of them just said after February or March last year that unfortunately they don't have any resources to invest into innovation. But to our surprise and to our delight, we found a lot of companies that had exactly the same logic that said, well, now this is time to innovate because, well, we cannot actually do anything else. So we're quite on the same page regarding that. Can you tell our community and I guess the outer world here, what kind of projects you are working at IATA? I know that some of them were related to blockchains. Something that you can mention, of course, some of that could be still a secret or under NDA. But I think in our conversations you said blockchain several times. Mm-hmm. So I would love our community to know a little bit more.
Yeah, and maybe the transition here is one project I launched 10 years ago. It was about the distribution of airline products through travel agents. Project called NDC for New Distribution Capability. So it's really just about formatting data and sending data through APIs between airlines and travel agents. And this project, despite the crisis, has seen tremendous growth. Most airlines kept investing in that, even travel agents as well. So yeah, there's still traction from some of the critical projects on the airline side. Maybe just as an anecdote, it's not blockchain, but it's 2D barcode. My first project in IATA was a standard for boarding passes. So it was to create a QR code that where you store your boarding data. So that was 2005. And pleased to see that a few years later, now when you travel by air, you receive your boarding pass as a 2D barcode. So that worked. And now you've got hundreds of airlines who provide the same 2D barcode, so it's convenient. NDC went through the same journey where now we have hundreds of airlines, of IT providers, etc., who've implemented the same standard. And I would say that's where I spent the last 15 years is making it easier for airlines, travel agents, travel buyers to work together. So that's I would say the background. Now on the blockchain side, I think at the time you were launching a Winding Tree, and that's I think how I came across companies. I was putting together this white paper about use cases of blockchain in aviation, and we had identified many use cases in various parts of the travel industry. One of them was the distribution of tickets or airline products. So the white paper is still on IATA website for people who are interested, because there's a lot to do with blockchain in aviation. Just to illustrate what we do with blockchain, when I was in IATA, we created an IATA coin, which is a crypto to do settlement between airlines. And the idea was to replace over time the clearinghouse in IATA. I don't go into details right now, but this we did the pilot, but it didn't go any further. Now, I'm not sure there's any secrets in terms of secret projects in IATA, because everything is done through the governance, meaning that we have meetings with airlines, and all the meetings we have lawyers in the room. Everything is minuted, so there's IATA is more about transparency than secrecy in that case. The last project that I was working on before leaving was the travel pass, which is the health pass, and now it's picking up. So I see that having a big role to play in the future. And that's it. The future also that I see where IATA may play a role is on identity management, but that's also something where I think Winding Tree can play a role. But definitely that's something that the travel industry needs, because it has lived for the last 40, 50 years with closed systems, closed networks. So it was the owner of the network who would manage the identity of who's joining the network. Now with internet, anybody can connect. We live in open systems. And that's when you need mechanism somewhere to know who you're talking to, all right? And that's what we call identity management. And IATA played a role for that in the traditional B2B world, but I see on the more online world, there's room for new players, and I think Winding Tree can be part of that. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Thank you so much. It sounds like that, we were working in our startup kind of world, but on very similar ideas to what you've been doing at IATA, and well, finally we converged, and we're on behalf of our whole team and hopefully on behalf of the whole community, welcome. So I wanted to ask you regarding Winding Tree, what kind of aspects of what we're doing caught your eye? I mean, obviously you wouldn't just work on any project, right? And it has to be exactly right. The timing has to be correct. The team has to be the right team. The product has to be the right product. The idea has to be the right idea. Out of those many different moving parts that we have here, what is the single most important thing that was so important to you that we finally got to work together?
I would say would call it the vision, the vision of a decentralized marketplace. To me, that's an echo to what we see in finance, decentralized finance. And here is the vision of a decentralized distribution. I think that's the vision. Then in the implementation, there's different ways we can manage it, but that to me was if you ask me, the single key reason was that, is to have this ambition of a decentralized distribution marketplace. And why I thought that was interesting is my experience again in the last 15 years dealing with the let's say traditional distribution methods and intermediaries. I realized there's a lot of friction, and just in the last week I've seen a GDS not distributing an airline, and I see a travel agent not accessing the content of another airline, and I see another airline suing another GDS because it's unfair display of the airline content. And I'm like that, and I say, that's a lot for just the last week, right? And all that friction, is it necessary? Is it in the best interest of the customer on one side and the supplier on the other side? And I say there should be a better way, a seamless way, frictionless way to connect customers of the world with the suppliers of the world and remove all that friction with all those opaque commercial models that you're wondering if they are really necessary. You understand why they came up with the history, but when you look at it today, with the technology we have today and all of that, including the chain, you say, isn't there a better way? And to me, so that's the why I'm quite interested by what Winding Tree is up to.
Fair enough. So what are the most, from your perspective, and obviously, person of your caliber, being really high up in the travel industry, part of your job description, I would say, is to try and predict what kind of things, how travel, and specifically travel distribution, is going to look like in, I don't know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So let's imagine it's year 2030. How does travel distribution look like? How is it different? And what is the fundamental change that has to happen, or maybe a few things that have to happen in order for us to have better travel experience, better travel distribution, better business models, more innovation? Again, year 2030, your guess.
Yeah, I mean, first thing is when I was working in IATA, it's not one-man job. Of course, I had a team of 70 people and many groups with senior airline people. So that's where we were collecting and building all the scenarios and testing all the scenarios of how the industry could evolve in the future and what are the risks and what mitigations we put in place. So that's all the work I was doing there. But if you ask me now to jump to 2030, I'm going to say something, and probably I'm going to underestimate what happened, because there's so many things that can happen in a decade. First thing, we started with COVID. To me, the pandemic would be part of history, and we will have learned, travelers and airlines to learn to travel with pandemics. That would be just normal. To have pandemics, I don't know if there will be traffic lights or things, but it will be easy to travel even when there are pandemics around. Second thing, key trend, I think business travel will have recovered. I think that's my own prediction, but I hear many people who say it's the end of business travel, and people love Zoom, and people will stay at home and spend their life at home in front of Zoom. I don't believe that. I believe that business travel will resume. People will value personal relationship, human touch, and business travel will recover. Maybe different from what we've known before. Maybe new kind of business travel, maybe more purpose, maybe people more mindful of the environment footprint, etc. But business travel will recover. Third key trend I see also in 2030 is about environment. I think environment will be part of the solution. It will not be part of the problem. Today, people have to choose between environment and business travel. It's one or the other. In the future, I think will be part of it. Not everything will be solved. There will be still carbon emissions, but we will have many options to travel by air with zero emission, and it will be okay to travel for business by air because you would not create any CO2 emission, right? So that to me can happen by 2030. I know Airbus is saying 2035, and I know IATA is saying 2050. Um, I'm more on the positive side here. And maybe a last one, closer to what we are talking about. I see for sure before the end of the decade, customer-supplier relationship in a travel that is frictionless in a decentralized world. Maybe not 100%, but it will be available. If there are big corporates, or big or small, so, but if there are corporates who value their relationship with some preferred suppliers, and they've identified them and they say, I want a direct relationship at scale with all the suppliers, and I just want a frictionless relationship. I don't want opaque commercial models in between. I don't want friction. I don't want all of that. It will be available. And if everything goes well for Wine3, I trust Wine3 can be the marketplace that will bring that decentralized air travel distribution.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is absolutely, for me, it's also all the right keywords, ineffective, friction. That's one of the goals, of course, of Wine3 and the marketplace and all the technologies that we created is to streamline online commerce. And well, travel industry is the first industry where we're applying all those things. It's not the end, definitely. Let me ask you this. Again, being so deeply involved with all sorts of industry projects, with many companies, talking to many different executives all the time. What are some of the most guarded travel industry secrets that you can tell us about today?
I know a couple of secrets, but then they have to kill me if I talk about them. So I'm not sure I want to disclose them. But I see, when I'm on the other side, and I'm always curious to know the secrets as well. For example, when I have the UK government, they come up with this traffic light system about travel restrictions. My first reaction, it's great. They're going to simplify things. It's only green, amber, red. But then, because there's no transparency about how they manage it, then you have people speculating about which country is going to become green, amber, or red. And that's creating more suspicion. And you say, what's the secret behind it, and politics, and what's happened, and you're curious to know the secret, or do they have a hidden agenda? And to me, that's critical that like a marketplace like Wine3 is choosing the side of being transparent, way to differentiate from the current models which are striving on being opaque. Because opacity is creating suspicion and confusion. So that's to me a key point. And when I'm talking about that right now, you just heard this American that is suing Sabre because of the Sabre Delta deal, where apparently reading the articles, Sabre we provide bigger incentives to travel agents that Delta instead of American. At least that's what American claims. And again, you say, that's there are secrets behind that. You don't know what happens. All you know is that there's a bias in the system and there's a lack of transparency. And I'm sure many buyers and many suppliers don't want to live in that type of world. So I, I, I don't think having secrets is good for any industry, any marketplace, and I trust Winding Tree will be on the side of being transparent and open. And I think that's what you guys are doing from the beginning, being open source, being transparent for what you do, having meetings like today when you answer questions openly. I think that's the right approach to build a sustainable platform.
Absolutely agree with you. We need a lot more transparency, and not just on so many levels. Algorithmic transparency, what happens with users' data, how many intermediaries are involved in a particular transaction. Um, and well, we may laugh at some of the labels that we could that we know, something like fair trade uh, or something like that. But I think those values absolutely have a place in the travel industry, and I'm glad to see that those concepts and those ideas are becoming more and more important in the minds of again people in the travel community, executives, and just companies around the world. I see a lot of very interesting initiatives right now from companies all over the world trying to change travel for the better. And for me, one of the keys is collaboration. I think we'll have to work together. And yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone, I guess, that it's all about collaboration for us. We are here to just help travel companies, but at the end of the day, of course, us mere travelers and tourists to have better experiences to remove those frictions that prevent us from having those good experiences while we're traveling. Um, I think I'm just looking at my questions here. Some of the ideas some of the questions and some of the ideas that I wanted to bounce off of you. And I think I'm at the end of my list. So I would like to thank you so much for joining our call today. I'm sure our community is elated to have you and to listen to your insights. What would you like to leave our community with today as kind of like final words for our conversation today, Eric?
Yeah, first, thank you, and I'm excited by the collaboration, and I just would like to keep in touch with your community and the point that I know you're working on. So just keep us posted on the development, and be in touch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And guys, whoever is watching us online right now, or whoever is watching us in recording, perhaps you have some questions for Eric, and this is your unique chance to get heard. Actually, uh, how about you send us those questions in our Telegram chat, or perhaps in the comments below the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, let us know what you would like us to ask Eric, and we are going to make sure that 2, 3, no more best questions will actually get to Eric. Of course, he doesn't have a lot of time for 100 questions, but a couple, I think we'll manage to sneak through. So thank you so much, Eric, once again. And let's move on to the next part, which is your questions, guys. It's been a while. I missed you, honestly. Uh, I know I saw all the conversations last night in the chat by all this people in our Telegram chat. Wait, I'm trying to look it up. What is it? Yeah, exactly. Where's the white paper? The rumors I was trolling someone? Absolutely not. All right, there we go. Uh, I think there's a question about the white paper, and it's the last question. It's question number 29. So, well, a little cliffhanger for you guys. So let's start with question number 1, and we'll get to question number 29 in due time. Okay, question number 1. What's your plan to grow up? To grow the community, I guess. We are really not changing your questions, guys. So I'm reading them, and sometimes they sound like they sound. So, what's your plan to grow the community? We have been stuck at 6,900 holders. I'm just thinking about that number, and we should check. But I'm sure that we have one of the largest communities out there. Are we not? 7,000 people sounds like a lot. And I was reading some of the research about other projects where a bunch of whales who control everything, where communities or projects did extensive pre-sale rounds, and where, I don't know, like 80% of tokens is concentrated within the hands of like 16 people. Well, for me, this question is about decentralization. How decentralized our token community is. And I think it's pretty good right now, but maybe one of you guys, who you can crank your numbers and just compare us with some other projects perhaps, and I would love to learn the stats about that. And one of the questions here is, how do we plan to grow the community? Guys, we're working on it relentlessly all the time. Like, what do you think? All the activities that we're doing, of course, they're absolutely part of that plan is to grow the community, to have more people here, more supporters. And it's not just about the token holders. Our community is much larger than that. We're talking to lots of travel companies. We're talking to quite a few people outside of travel in the self-sovereign identity community. So yeah, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of support. But again, if you have any ideas, like maybe that person who was asking that question, guys, we don't have names of these people who are asking this question. So I think this is a good tradition. We should have that tradition. We should have it back. I want the names back, guys. Yeah, so whoever is asking that question, maybe you have some particular idea of how to do that. Well, let me know. Let me know. And how about we make this like not just questions, but questions and suggestions or something like that. So let's do that. Question number 2. How does this scale against existing OTAs who have billions in marketing budgets, sales teams who are signing up accommodation providers everywhere? Mm-hmm. It's a really good question. I'm just trying to figure out how to answer it in the shortest way possible, because that question is, it's loaded, and just all these philosophical and strategic concepts come to mind, like things that our team has to keep in mind all the time. The easy answer, there's no easy answer. Okay, so let me just go through line by line, one by one. So again, fundamentally, what Eric just said, we are removing friction from the process of companies. Imagine buyers and sellers of travel, hotels and travel agencies. We're removing friction from the process of them connecting to each other, right? We want to reduce that friction to almost zero. And when that happens, there's a lot of friction in terms of onboarding. And that's why all those OTAs have the salespeople who call hotels quite manually, onboard them. That process is insanely complicated and involved. And it can take, I don't know, several weeks or maybe months. And that process, of course, in terms of just the people, just the time of those people who are involved in that process is extremely expensive. We are trying to remove that friction down to almost zero using cryptography, using blockchains, and well, I think we're succeeded. We have to make just a few more steps to get to a completely new level where a company that joins the marketplace, where there's almost new friction in terms of if they wanted to connect to a new company, we don't need salespeople for that organic growth to happen. We don't need salespeople to manually to handhold all the suppliers and OTAs. Well, actually, one of our advisors said, don't use the term OTA, travel agents. So yeah, that's the answer. I think hopefully it's pretty clear, but if it's not clear, just go to our Telegram chat, send me an email. I'm max@windingtree.com. Ask me further questions if it's not clear. The rules are simple. All right. Question number 3. What is the roadmap for the Winding Tree marketplace? At the moment, it doesn't look like it's most user-friendly, and as an outsider and basically end user that wants to travel, I wouldn't know how to use the marketplace. Are there any UI improvements, marketing plan to promote the use of the platform? Well, the short answer is yes, there is a plan. And how about I get to that plan when I answer question number 29, which is the question about the white paper. Just one thing that I wanted to mention, that the marketplace is a B2B marketplace. It's a place for travel companies to meet, to sellers of travel inventory like hotels and airlines, and travel agents who will take that inventory from all those travel suppliers. So the Winding Tree marketplace is not for the end user. We're not a travel agency. We're not selling you tickets, right? That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is to create a new way for distributing travel, right? That's what we say on our webpage. It's decentralized travel distribution. You may be confused by our project that's called Glider, which looks like an online travel agency where you can book hotels and airlines, and indeed it is. It is a primer. It is an example of an online travel agency. But the purpose of that project, the purpose of Glider, is to show other companies out there how easy it is to create a travel agency on top of the infrastructure that we created. So, yeah, hopefully that's clear. Again, not clear, you have comments, you have Telegram chat, you have my personal email that I'm like a fool giving out to everyone right now. Go use it. All right, question number 4. With the release of new white paper, will be a marketing push for it? Yes. Question number 5. Do you have any plan to change the website soon? Yes. Question number 6. The majority of community voted that Lyft should be listed on a bigger exchange. What were your concrete steps in that regard, and what is a realistic time frame for a listing? So, guys, you voted for a big exchange. We were absolutely 100% clear that, well, first of all, big exchange will be expensive, and the process of getting listed in big exchange is going to be long. If it was a small, shitty exchange, the process is much, much shorter, and it's much, much cheaper, but the community voted for big exchange. So our concrete steps, hey, let's start talking to some big exchanges, which we're talking to them. We're negotiating with them. There are terms that we need to discuss. It is an involved process. Yeah. So that's that. That's a concrete, very, very concrete steps. What is your realistic time frame for a listing? So I really like, how do you answer that question? Like, when something is going to happen in a world that's ridden with uncertainty? especially when there are other parties involved. Like it really doesn't depend on us. Not everything depends on us. Unfortunately, again, especially when there's another party involved. Um, we're working on it, guys. Do you consider partnership with Elrond? That's Elvish King, right? Since they have fast transportation with cheap transaction fees, also they have the best payment systems for the centralized system. Um, well, short answer, we'll look into it. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, wait. So that wasn't the question number 9? All right. Question number 9. Okay, we got to this topic a lot sooner than I was expecting. All right. Any question number 8. When will the new white paper come out? So, guys, tomorrow we are sending the new white paper for our very, very closely and securely catered group of people from the community for them to take a look at it, give us feedback. Our advisors will get the white paper tomorrow as well. Uh, some of you, some of the people from that group, are you guys excited? I know, me too. So that very, very closely and secretly and securely selected group of people will get the white paper tomorrow. Yeah, great news. And I think we'll need another week for incorporating that feedback or something like that. And then perhaps we'll take another week to put some nice illustrations on that white paper. And yeah, so around that time. So definitely before the next AMA, we'll have a full release of the white paper. I'm very excited. We have a lot of cool ideas there. We worked on it for quite some time. We wanted to make sure that all of our best ideas are collected in one place. All of our thinking and plans for how and where to take our platform next are going to be there. So the roadmap is going to be there. All the ideas about org ID, the analysis of problems of the marketplace, how to fix those problems, what kind of resources are we going to be applying to solve for that. Everything is going to be in the white paper. So super excited to share all that stuff with you guys. Question number 9. Any plans for marketing? Like what? Of course, we're doing it all the time. Didn't you read Pedro's article on NASDAQ just like, I don't know, several days ago? Yeah, tons of plans for marketing all the time. What is our budget for marketing? That's a really good question, which, I don't know, Pedro should be able to talk about that. So I'm not going to step into his domain. Yeah, that's Pedro. He's like right there in the Telegram chat. Like, say, Pedro, what is your budget for marketing? I don't know if he'll answer. Probably he will. Or maybe he'll give you a ballpark. Question number 10. I was, unfortunately, spending Ether with another than ERC20 wallet, and I lost it. But you said that there is a chance that you might retrieve it back. Is there yet an update on that? Yeah. So sometimes we do receive questions like that. We try to help those people as much as possible. You know, a person is in my email. I mean, dude, how did you get my email anyway? Oh, right, I spoil it. I do it every time. max@windingtree.com. So send me an email if you have good ideas. So anyway, this guy's in my email and he's like, Max, I remember I sent you some Ether, but I don't see any lift in my wallet. What happened? I'm like, dude, what is your Ether address? He's like, it's this. I'm like, dude, can you see all those transactions that you tried to send? Where you tried to send Ether to us, the all failed out of gas or something like that. So, well, you tried to send us Ether, but it didn't go through. So, what do you want me to do? Can you check, some other wallets that I might have had for Lyft that I should have received? Well, in this particular case, we cannot help. We couldn't help that person. There are other questions like, hey guys, I sent Lyft to the contract address, to the Lyft contract address. What should I do? And well, this is a downside of decentralized systems. There's no one in the middle really, and that's what we're building upon this ideas, this very ideas. We cannot do anything. Lyft is a completely decentralized smart contract, and we cannot access it. Unfortunately, sorry about this. It would be the same if you sent it to some other address and you made a mistake in the address, and then poof, that stuff is gone. Do they say that about 20% of all Bitcoin or 10% or some crazy number like that is now locked because people cannot access it? Because it's on some locked hard drives and they sent it somewhere else. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry, but you absolutely have to be so very careful about when you transact crypto. I sweat every time I send any of the whatever Ether or Lyft. I'm like, did I check whether I'm sending it to the right address? Just make sure that everything is absolutely 100% right. Otherwise, it's just gone. Question number 11 is about the white paper, the new exchange, and Max not being on Telegram. Guys, I'm there all the time. It's just sometimes there's a new person, and they're like, this project dead? When moon? Obviously, I'm not going to answer those questions. Like, guys, sorry, come on. Just read the history, read our blog, look it up online, what we're doing. Do some research. Like, that's just, I don't know, just lazy communication. And then question number 13 is about a new exchange. Question number 14 is about Eric Leopold and how he's going to support us. Hopefully today's interview is showing how. Question number 15 is, how do we want to get hotels and airlines getting boarded on the marketplace? It seems complicated. It's one of the problems. This is actually a really, really good question. That's one of the problems, very, very important problems that we have to resolve, and the whole of the crypto industry has to resolve. And the problem fundamentally is, well, all of you guys are in DeFi and you're sending your DAI to ZK Sync and then to Polkadot, and then you just, I don't know, cover it with your MetaMask, all that stuff. For a person that's not familiar with what blockchain is, how things work, it could be quite complicated to understand, to grasp what and how we're actually trying to improve the travel industry here. So imagine that's just my little thought experiment I'm doing when I'm explaining these things. Imagine a person, an owner of a small hotel somewhere. Imagine your favorite country. Imagine the countryside of that country, a tiny hotel, let's say 6 to 10 rooms, and the owner of that room is a sweet little lady. And imagine you're talking to her and you tell her, hey, you can avoid a 20% fee that you're actually paying to all of those intermediaries that you work with today. That lady's, of course, super excited. Wow, how can I do that? Instead of explaining to her, well, so first of all, you have to install MetaMask. Then you have to get some ether. Yeah, you have to register on an exchange, you know, and then you have to exchange some of that ether for that for that another token, LIF. Um, Imagine the thought process here, or the amount of education that's actually required to communicate all of that. Yes, that person will benefit eventually from being on the marketplace, but they have to learn about all of these things. So we have to bridge the gap between those two things, right? Between the understanding of that person, that the owner of the hotel owner, and from our side, of course, we have to work on the user experience of those people. Um, and I see, for example, projects like MetaMask, they constantly try to, I don't know, get closer to people, I guess, trying to use terminology that's not cryptic. Yeah. For example, create a seed word or generate your seed phrase. That sounds crazy to a person who, I mean, has very little, no idea about blockchain, very little idea about internet. They know what a mouse is. They click on it. Nothing bad about that. I mean, we're all on completely different levels in terms of understanding technology. But yes, we have to create uh, the best and the easiest user experience for those people to be able to get on the platform. Well, so far our strategy is we don't have a shortage of people and companies who want to work with us, who are very tech savvy people. Those people are smart, and we're talking to lots of them. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, we'll have to cover uh, the rest of the travel industry as well, and we'll have to create a product that will be so easy for them to use that they wouldn't have to think twice, where to click, what to do. That's a challenge. Again, not just ours, not but the whole blockchain industry, the whole blockchain field. Amazing question. I think that person gets a star from us. Question number 15. I'd love to know about who asked that. Asked that. Number 16. The question is about what is our strategy for bringing new businesses to the marketplace. I kind of already hinted at that. So we have a two-pronged approach here. So first of all, we're talking to a very small number of companies, but those companies are very big, right? So when they will finally be on the marketplace, there's going to be a lot of demand and there's going to be a lot of supply. And that's how our term is we're seeding the marketplace, right? So that's one of the approaches that we have here. And this other approach that I was just talking about is to create better user experience and educate people about our tech, about what the marketplace is, what Org ID is. So a lot of education and improving user experience and user interfaces that we have. So two-pronged approach for bringing businesses onto the marketplace. Booking.com, question number 17. They invest 60 to 70 cents into advertising per transaction, as far as I understand. So basically, it costs 60 to 70 cents for them to make $1 in terms of Google advertising. Well, maybe. So basically, 70% of their profit they spend on Google Ads just to make the transactions happen. And 90% of all bookings of Airbnb are organic. How can you achieve the same growth like Airbnb? So that's something I touched upon in question, I think, number 1 or 2. It's not our job to pay for advertising. We're not a travel agency, right? Our vision of the future is that right now, Booking has a monopoly on Google advertising because, but at the same time, they have to pay for very expensive and very generic queries like hotels in London. Tons and tons of people type that query, right? And they get on booking.com at the end of the day, and that query is extremely expensive. What if the query is hotels in Shoreditch or somewhere else, right? In London, that query is a lot less expensive. What about it's not even a query about hotels. It's wine tours in the south of France, and then they would get to an OTA that does this very unique, very niche specific thing. That query is a lot less expensive. That query is a lot more personalized. So people who are typing this query, they will get exactly what they want from that travel agency. And that travel agency will have inventory from Winding Tree. How would that happen? So right now we have only a handful of very big intermediaries, right? And it's extremely hard for smaller travel agencies to enter the market precisely because of this problem that you're talking about. Because Booking and Expedia and Priceline together, the number in pre-COVID years was something like they spent $6 to $7 billion every year on just Google ads. We're not talking about any other marketing or advertising expenses. And of course, it's impossible to compete with this kind of budget, right? But imagine a travel agency that creates this very unique, very niche product, starts advertising on Google, is able to compete very easily. They will pay next to nothing for this very unique personalized queries instead of those generic ones. Yeah, let Booking.com and other OTAs pay for those crazy expensive queries. Imagine now thousands of those smaller travel agencies competing with their unique value propositions with those big guys. It's going to be a very, very different future. So that's what we are envisioning that's going to happen when all those smaller travel agencies have the same access to the same inventory that Booking.com has. Yeah, that's like 5 years from now. Question number 18. Well, passive aggressive. Will you ever fix the lift tracking issue, or keep saying you're gonna impress us and are not impressing us? Very subjective. Send me an email, dude or dudette, and tell me, what are you not impressed with? I mean, we're working with Eric Claypole, like, come on. With lift tracking issue, we've done so much to fix it. We submitted all the pull requests. We contacted all the right people. We did marketing about it. Did you guys see it? Is it fixed? Question number 19. When will you do a token swap? Hey, you guys wanted the big exchange, right? Question number 20. Stefan. That's the person who is asking questions all the time. Hi, Stefan. Is there a concrete plan, short term, to enable proper price tracking in CMC and CoinGecko? It looks very unprofessional. Stefan? Yes. We are doing everything that's humanly possible. And please, please, if you want it to fix so badly, why don't you tweet this CoinGecko people, CMC people, and Uniswap people, and let's just bash them so they fix their stupid systems that don't track the lift token correctly. Our token is fully 100% ERC20 compliant, except for two little optional functions that we didn't implement back in 2018. Anyway, question number 21. Since Spencer is back, what are his tasks and what are the tasks of Olivia now? Spencer, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Can you hear me okay? Max, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Dude,
Cool.
first of all,
Okay.
welcome back. We really, really missed you, and especially the guys who just kept asking about you all the time.
Yeah, so glad to be back. What I'm doing, so again, you'll see me a lot in the community, like you have, kind of Olivia and I will be attacking that together and kind of being there for you guys as a resource. In addition to that, I am kind of creating a separate community for inventory suppliers, targeting kind of like smaller hotels, boutiques, and like I talked about a little bit earlier, kind of keep them interested, use them as like product feedback, get them onboarded and kind of like get them going. So kind of an answer also to, at least someone asked something about customer acquisition, kind of a more holistic approach to being like more community driven and community led on getting some hotels in there for us. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. And then as always, I've kind of been a jack of all trades. So helping out wherever I'm needed, like with these AMAs or anything of that nature too.
Thanks, man. Really, really happy to have you on the team. Question number 2, why are there no partner airlines registered on the Wine Tree Marketplace yet? So one of our strategies, as I mentioned, is to work with big companies that would bring a lot of supply, a lot of demand, and those integrations are well underway. But for big guys, the problem with big guys is they're very slow to move. And just imagine a very big ship, and steering that monstrosity is just very, very hard. You have to talk to people on multiple levels. Everyone has to buy in. The CEO has to say yes to every little thing, stuff like that. And each and every corporation like that is different. There is no just magical bullet that you say, okay, just guys, flip the switch over here. No, absolutely not. It has to be approved on a variety of different levels. We're working on it. 23, sending Lyft token to an exchange would make Lyft more recognizable globally. Basically, the question is, when are we going to be listed on an exchange? I'm just trying to digest this question properly. It talks about research and development and some more sources that would bring more money to us. The guys, our token is completely decentralized. It's not listing on an exchange. It's very important. And as you know, we are working on those things and we're talking to exchanges big and small. So I'm not sure how that's going to bring money to us. We have a little bit of, as you know, the foundation has a little bit of a reserve of tokens, but it's our long-term cash that we are going to use when Lyft hits the moon. So why would we sell it right now? Question number 24. I understand that Wine Tree is making steps towards making the UI better and the process for registering on the Wine Tree Marketplace easier, et cetera, et cetera. The question is about a fiat gateway for new entrants, but we have that feature on the marketplace. You can pay with your credit card for the gas fees that you have to do. Basically, the question is about, again, the user experience, how easy it is for a company to register in the Wine Tree Marketplace. There are some barriers. People have to acquire crypto. People don't quite know how to use MetaMask, what MetaMask is, why do they need MetaMask, what is a seed phrase, why do they have to generate it and then store securely. It's a lot of nonsense to them. We have a feature where you can pay for those transaction fees with gas, and some people have used it. And another question here is, what do you think is the biggest hurdle for new entrants joining the platform? We're answering a lot of those questions in detail in the new white paper. So wait for just a few more days, and you'll see that. And if you are one of our community ambassadors, you will see that tomorrow. The next question is, will you update the website? Yes. Question number 27, have you found people for your open job positions? We have found a few developers, and we've have found an HR person. We have, for higher level people, actually, we have quite a few conversations that are happening right now. And it's just, I'm amazed what the caliber of people who are reaching out to us, and it's just completely awesome. Guys, if you're watching this, yeah, thank you for your support. And the next question, and the question after that, is about the white paper, which I answered several times now. So I think that's about it. I'm gonna look at the Telegram chat. Person named Ink, you said the answer about the exchange made you laugh. Can you elaborate on that? Well, do we have any questions? Do you guys have any questions on YouTube? And in the chat over here, let me click. Yeah, guys, so I cannot quite find the YouTube. Spencer, can you send me any questions that are in the YouTube chat, perhaps?
We don't have any. You already answered all the questions that popped there, mainly about the
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sounds good, guys. So I think we have everything. Ink is not saying anything in the chat. That was 30 minutes ago. So I assume, well, again, Ink, you want to have a call with me? Send me an email with your questions and concerns. Let me know. Guys, thank you so much. That was a long call today. And for me, it was super interesting to bring Eric here to talk to him. You get to see a little bit of an insight into how our conversations are going, how our thinking is developing. Probably it's a good idea to bring some of our other partners or maybe advisors to our next calls and have a conversation. So for the next call, how about we have questions for me, which I am always happy to answer, as you know, and also for some of our advisors. What do you think? Let's do it. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and see you later.